Hi, hello, and welcome back to my podcast. Now, what was I talking about? So, I took a much longer extended break than I anticipated. I thought I would, actually, I don't know. Oh, no, no, no. I thought I was going to come back at the end of January with a podcast, and then I didn't. And then now we're what? It's the 15th of February. Um, I'm like, I'm just gonna take my time. No, but I don't know. January, honestly, when New Year's hit, it didn't really feel like a new year. TBH. One, New Year's was on a Wednesday, which is like, what is that? How am I supposed to go out and celebrate the new year? Uh, when I just worked Tuesday, like, what are we doing? Also, just realized I gotta be like real close to the mic. But also, let me pause really quickly. Anyway, so yeah, like who's going out on a Tuesday night going into the new year and a Wednesday? I got Wednesday? Anyway, it just didn't feel real. I was like, I could go to this party, I could go to this party. Of course, I'm like being fully masked because I'm like, no, we're still in a pandemic, but that doesn't mean I can't shake my ass. um, but yeah, I don't know. I literally got home from work and was like, all right, I could go to this party, I could go to this renegade, I could do this, and then just passed out. Too many choices, too many options. I went to sleep. And then my boys, my cats, of course, my boys, my babies, uh, weren't as spooked about the fireworks, because sometimes people light out fireworks right in front of my apartment building. So they weren't like surprised by the sound. Although there was one, because I live on like the 10th floor, there was one that like was in view of my window, and I was like, oh, that's scary. And then that actually scared them. So yeah. But also, what is it? January, we got in a new president. Yay. And I was like, I don't that's just depressing with them like completely trying to erase transness from everything. I'm like, well, I'm glad I didn't try to do any of the gender marker changes on my ID or legally change my name and have that on like my birth certificate or anything like that just yet because they're literally going to be trying to use that to deport trans people essentially because oh well your shit doesn't match this shit and this is what so then do you even are you even from here type bullshit. But I'm also like they're definitely using the war tactics of overwhelming people with negativity to the point where we feel like we can't do anything against any of this but and use that as like a distraction. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just also like, thankfully, there are judges that are being like, no, this shit's unconstitutional. You can't do that. And sure, he can say, oh, executive order here, executive order here, or well, technically, sure, Elon Musty can say that because he seems to be running the show and using his literal infant children as human shields, essentially. Ever since that CEO got killed, he's been literally carting around his children as human shields. Really fucked up. Fuck this guy. What was I gonna say? Yeah, no, I just fuck Elon. Like seriously, he's literally trying to go. Honestly, no. I didn't want to talk about this. I'm like, this is my podcast. This is my time. I can talk about whatever the fuck I want. And that was another thing too, because I was like, I felt like I would just be so I was very angry in January about all of this nonsense going on in our government that I felt like a lot of what I would have been saying would have been more about that stuff rather than the stuff that I find joy in, which is like movies and television. And I'm like, no, this podcast is supposed to be for me to have fun and just kind of yap about things that I've found interesting, like this being a way to give myself space to do that. And then also reaching people who I currently don't have time to like hang out with, are who are at other jobs and who live in SoCal. Shout out to my friends who have a shared name who I told about this podcast episode coming. I'm just like, I'm not about to use anybody's name because I don't want to dox anybody. But just to get all the news out of the way, there was the Neil Gaiman article, Vulture article that came out about a essentially a nanny who was being abused, sexually abused by him over time, and then the reporter uncovering all these other stories of women who were being used both by him and Amanda something. I am going to get her name right because um it is important to have Palmer. Amanda, about to call her Alanta. Amanda Palmer, both of them essentially using people. Amanda Palmer specifically apparently has a history of doing this sort of thing of like she comes from a rich family, but everything about her music and touring is supposed to be like DIY and like um asking people to essentially work for free and giving people these opportunities and using exposure as payment. But it's like, you could just pay people. I mean, sure, you can get your fans to help you, but I think there should be a level of pay behind what they're doing. Now, if it was any of the house concerts, that's like a little bit more leeway. Like maybe she could have um I don't know, you paid people in food or something. But it was like, I don't know, I'm definitely tired of people like cosplaying as not coming from wealth. And I understand if I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt here. I understand if she wanted to separate herself from her parents and try to make it on her own and all this stuff. But I'm like, but she is like a popular musician. So there should be. Ooh, I made a loud sound and spooked my boy. But I can only assume there's a level of um money that was at least coming in from this, right? And so, I mean, from the article, it would seem that she would essentially hook up with a fan of hers at a concert and then be like, "Oh, my husband would love you. You're so his type," and just fly her over to wherever Neil was fucking staying. And then he would do this whole fucking song and dance with these people who are obviously lesbians, maybe bi, but more than likely lesbians and in love with Amanda Palmer. And then putting them in these fucking awkward situations where they're like, "Oh, I'm so fucking shocked that I guess I'm just gonna comply because as long as I'm complying, this'll end." But then it doesn't end because he's a fucking manipulative bastard who grew up in Scientology. Where Scientology believes that children are just small adults and deserve to have the same punishments. And he hasn't talked to anybody about his experiences growing up in Scientology. And The Ocean at the End of the Lane, a book that he wrote that also had like a stage play adaptation. is allegedly the closest to him even sort of navigating any of that. And there's like, I remember reading it, and there's like a scene where he greatly describes um the dad in that trying to drown the main character who is a boy. And I'm like, you probably got a lot going on there, Neil. Um, but no, he's a piece of shit. Um, I when these allegations came out last year, I was already like, I don't like this. But this is even further proof, and even more so, this person is now suing, I think, both of them. Which, yes, while fucking, they're both in the middle of this fucking divorce, and Amanda Palmer has been forced to like move back in with her parents or some shit because this divorce is expensive. And the fact that fucking, even in the article, Amanda's like, wait, he did that in front of our son? Like, as if the most egregious thing wasn't how Neil was treating this woman who wasn't getting paid, by the way. She got paid after everything wrapped up. Um, but the fact that her son could have been involved, like, it's just ah, these people. Oh, and I only brought it up because I'm like, sure, this is also pop culture news, but I do I know someone who knows someone who knows Neil Gaiman. And when that person asked him, like, oh, how do you feel about any of this news or allegations or whatever, he basically said, I am shocked but not surprised. And that was definitely confirmation for me. And then when I was, talking to my friend about this, they were with someone who had worked in a comic book store in the early 2000s, and Neil was going to be there. I don't know why I'm just using his first name. Neil Gaiman was gonna be there, and their boss was like, "Oh, no, you shouldn't work because you're so his type." So I'm like, he just has this history of like preying on thin, uh, white women. This person is femme presenting, but I don't know their pronouns, so I'm gonna use gender neutral pronouns for them. Um, yeah, and just like preying on these people, these him people who are fans and like starstruck, and it's just fucking terrible. Just terrible. Like, and also, all of this coming up, and people bringing up like how he would be on Tumblr, and he created a whole Tumblr account so that people could share with him images of them reading his book, and he was even more so okay with it being like not safe for work content, and was not caring if these people were obviously underage taking photos in the nude or in tubs and shit. I'm like, that's gross. Why are you on Tumblr as a fucking, how fucking old is he? 64-year-old man. And this Tumblr was up last year. Disgusting. Um. Anyway, moving on. Other news. David Lynch sadly passed away, which ooh, so sad. And he was already like pretty sick. Um, but these fires just caused him to not be able to evacuate, and I think it just I'm gonna fully look at his cause of death before I just say things. Oh, he was 78. And he was trying to get funding for one of his films, but he couldn't get it funded. And I'm like, how are y'all not funding someone like David Lynch's films? John Waters wasn't able to get funding for a film he wanted to do. I'm like, what is going on? Why why are we not giving people money? Um, he died from complications of in emphysema. Emphysema. air filled with marginal body tissues, pulmonary emphysema. Oh, lower respiratory tract disease. So, okay, so definitely from smoking. He got this. And oh fuck. So literally he was a smoker and then the smoke from the fires is what caused him to pass away. That's so fucking sad. Um, yeah, but he was only 78. Now with David Lynch, I haven't fully gotten into all of his filmology. Um, I mean, I'll definitely say like his stuff's weird, but it's great. Like, it's surrealism, art house, experimental, and he does stuff unironically. Like I feel like um and it's authentic. Like it's authentic to him and like what he believes in like spirituality because there's always elements of that that I've at least noticed in the few things that I've seen from him and I'm like he now I'm gonna be sad. But yeah, like Twin Peaks I was definitely a big fan of. I At first I wasn't liking the show only because you introduced this mystery and me being a fan of not true crime, not a fan of true crime anymore. Me being a fan of procedurals and whodunits, I'm like, ooh, okay. We start with the death of someone, but also let me just for people who haven't watched Twin Peaks, let me explain what it is. So, quick overview. It is a crime drama mixed with healthy doses of the surreal. And it's a series about FBI agent Dale Cooper, played by Kyle MacLachlan. He's our fave over here. Who travels to the small logging town of Twin Peaks to solve the murder of seemingly innocent high schooler Laura Palmer. Almost nothing is as it seems, however, and the show's sometimes eerie visuals, oddball characters, and wild dream sequences drive the point home. So, yeah, so the beginning um we see a dead Laura Palmer washed up on a beach in like plastic. And I'm like, "Oh, murder mystery? It's a mystery." And yes, technically it is, but the story unravels and we're kind of getting into the interpersonal drama surrounding her and it's like it it's between like her and the friends around her and her family and then her family's own issues with their bosses or coworkers or something. Like there's so many different like it like branches off in so many different ways and it all makes up the story of this town. Like honestly, this show is definitely more about the story of the town and the drama behind the people that live there that make up the town. And her murder is kind of the on the back burner of it. Now, it is kind of speculated that he never intended to reveal who the killer was. He's kind of pressured into that. But I mean, the way that that's revealed in the show, like, I'm not going to give that away. I'm not going to give that away. But the way it's revealed in the show is fucking amazing. Like, it's crazy. Um, but I definitely liked it. And yeah, I don't know. I am definitely really sad and it's been really cool to see all the love for him and all my little art house theaters around here doing screenings for like all of his movies and stuff since he passed away. That's been really nice. And I mean, even before he passed, they were, doing screenings for his stuff. Anyway, oh God, yeah, it was like literally a month ago. And I'm still sad. But okay. So wanted to get all the bad news out of the way. So some oh wait, actually. No, we'll go to good news and then we'll do bad news again. But it's not about someone being an asshole or someone passing away. I am going to talk about the fact that. Where did I bring this up? Jesus. Oh, I thought I was prepared and I am not. Have that up. What the? Wow, I'm gonna have to. Anyway, I had to like find the damn quote. Um, anyway. So what I was trying to say as some good news, I mean, depending on who you're talking to, I guess. But Buffy the Vampire Slayer is coming back, which is crazy. Sarah Michelle Gellar um posted on her Instagram specifically about the update or about it coming back, and I'm gonna quote her Instagram right now. It's actually longer than I thought it'd be. Anyway, so you might have heard some news this week, but I realize you haven't heard from me. 3 years ago, I got a call from my dear friend and mentor, Gail Berman. Yeah, that's her name. Yeah. I know why I'm pausing. She told me that she wanted me to sit down with Chloe Zhao to hear her take on a potential Buffy revival. I was blown away that Chloe even knew who I was, but as I've always done, I told Gail that I just didn't see a way for the show to exist again. We'd always been aligned on that, but this time I heard something different in her voice. I eventually agreed to go, mainly just to meet Chloe, and our 20-minute coffee quickly turned into a 4-hour adventure. We laughed, we cried, but mostly we both talked about how much this show means to us. While I didn't agree to anything at that meeting, I did shock myself by agreeing to continue the conversation. These conversations did, in fact, continue over the next few years, and eventually we added the incredible Nora and Leela Zuckerman to our little tribe until ultimately, one day, we landed on an idea. I've always listened to the fans and heard your desire to revisit Buffy and her world, but it was not something I could do unless I was sure we would get it right. This has been a long process and it's not over yet. I promise you, we will only make this show if we know we can do it right, and I will tell you that we are on the path there. Okay. I feel so lucky to be on this journey with these four unbelievably talented women, all of whom love Buffy as much as I do, and as much as you do. Thank you all, the fans. Oh, thank you to all the fans who never stopped asking for this. This will be for you. She uploaded that a week ago as confirmation. I think I read a article somewhere that was saying that she would be coming back as more of a mentor role, which I'm like, I'm definitely down for that because then it's like you're passing the torch. But I mean, I definitely remember watching Buffy. I didn't fully finish it, which I guess we're gonna have to do a deep dive. We're gonna do a Buffy deep dive. But I remember watching Buffy. I remember watching Angel, which he's a character from Buffy, and then I also watched Charmed. And I'm like, oh, television just was so different. I have been thinking about getting an antenna, which I kind of hate that antennas are now these like little boxes. I miss the bunny ear antennas because I'm like, oh yeah, you just adjust it and then you get that signal and then it's in your TV. But uh, what is it? So I mean, that's exciting. Uh, I mean, I'm definitely like I'm gonna just have to see as well because a lot of this stuff is, you know, like, can we just also get something new? But speaking of bringing things back, we're getting a new Final Destination movie, which is crazy. Final Destination, a series of films that have scarred a generation to never ride behind a logging truck because that fucking sequence in that movie was just so traumatic and so seemingly real. I was just thinking about this yesterday, but I feel like Final Destination as a series of films is just like if someone was like, what if that intrusive thought you had about this happening just actually happened? What if that's what happened? you know, um, but let me at least. Hmm, there's so many movies. Um, I mean, not as much as Saw, which I will definitely talk about in a second because there's going to be a new Saw movie. Actually, I guess I'll just talk about it real quick while I'm um trying to look for more Final Destination information. But yeah, there's gonna be a Saw 11, which is crazy. What are we doing? I missed out on Saw 10, um, of course, but I guess I'm gonna have to go back and watch uh Saw 10 because I gotta see what the hell is going on here. But no, I'm trying to go to IMDb, not Wikipedia. There we go. I'm like, I just want a summary. But essentially, going back to Final Destination, and then I get a fucking ad, bro. Okay, going back to Final Destination. As long as there's no fucking ad again. After getting a premonition about a plane crash on his school trip, Alex, a student, saves a few of his classmates. However, their situation gets complicated when death starts to chase them. Uh, starts chasing them. So essentially, it's like, okay, I got this premonition. No, sorry. Oh, okay, this movie came out in 2000. I don't know why I thought it came out in 2001. When, planes crashing, Twin Towers, crazy. But no, it would not have done as well as it did if it came out in 2001 because something like Donnie Darko came out around the same time, and that also involved plane crashing. So people didn't want to see it or, didn't really know about it, honestly. But what was I saying? The hell was I talking about? Final Destination. Essentially, what happens in these series of movies is someone gets a premonition that like some tragic accident is about to happen and people are gonna die. And they get that premonition, freak the fuck out because they're like, shit's about to fucking happen. Like, oh my god, we need to get the fuck out of here. And then the, a few people are like, that person is freaked the fuck out. I think I'm gonna leave too because that's crazy. I'm gonna believe this person. And then the thing that they said would happen happens. And then they're like, wow, man, you just saved our life. And then, just like, no, you were supposed to die, actually. So now you're gonna die in a different way, all at different times. And it just, uh, people just slowly get taken out, essentially. Crazy movies, crazy stuff. It does. I remember these movies getting more and more dramatic as time went on, like with the deaths. I mean, one that stuck with me was like someone trying to get LASIK eye surgery and then the lasers burning through their eyeballs. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I won't try to not wear glasses ever in my life. Maybe I will just continue wearing glasses and maybe get contact lenses and call it a day. Maybe we'll just do that instead. Like, or what was that? There was another death that I remember with people getting stuck in tanning beds and then being burned alive. Which now that I think about it, Lisa Frankenstein from last year, uh, might have went with that. but it was a way for her to essentially bring sorry, I'm like distracted because I'm still on IMDb and they're just showing the trailer for Final Destination on the IMDb page, and I'm just watching him freak the fuck out because he just woke up from seeing everybody die. These movies are graphic. I remember they did a 3D uh movie too. Honestly, I am gonna have to rewatch these movies. I'm gonna have to rewatch this. I'm gonna have to watch Buffy. A whole bunch of stuff. Oh, but yeah, and Lisa Frankenstein, I don't even remember how she gets the idea to put the corpse. Actually, no, no, no. I'm remembering now. What happens is she's in love with this bust of a man who died a bachelor, and then his body gets struck by lightning, or his corpse gets struck by lightning, and that resurrects him, and parts of his body are still like awful. So this is how the killing people comes into play. She starts, well, actually, she doesn't. He starts like getting rid of her enemies and chops off different parts. I think she does it first, and then afterwards, it's just all on him. Anyway, she would sew on different parts of his of the new body and then put him in the tanning bed, and that would electrocute him because if you the tanning bed was broken. So yeah, I think they watched Final Destination and got that idea. um, but yeah, so Final Destination's coming back. It looks like the last movie came out in 2011. That's crazy. I graduated high school then and started college that year. Pretty wild. Oh, yeah, let's see what the plot of the new movie is gonna be actually, because I don't know. And apparently there's already a trailer. Apparently this is coming out in May. I'm like, huh? I only just found out that this was a thing. Alright, where is IMDb? Give me that IMDb. Because I want a quick little description. Whoa. Oh my god, is there another fucking ad that's popping up? Okay. Okay. Good. Plagued by a recurring violent nightmare. A college student returns home to find the one person who could break the cycle and save her family from the horrific fate that inevitably awaits them. Interesting. So they might have a character come back from the old ones, because I think in the second movie, one of the people survives the first movie, and she's like, "No, there's a way to cheat it. There's a way to cheat death." And I'm like, I'm looking at parts of this trailer. I'm like, oh, fun, new intrusive thoughts and fears unlocked. Because there is someone getting like a tongue piercing, and I'm like, now how the fuck are you gonna fuck up a tongue piercing? These people are creative. Amazing. Fantastic. Okay. So I'm done there. We're gonna talk about I want to figure out what's going on with Saw 11. Crazy. We're at 11 of these. And we're never gonna come back to James Wan and Lee Wendell uh doing these things. Also, speaking of Lee Wendell, he just did this werewolf movie and people are saying, well, it was bad. I just didn't watch it because I didn't want to. I didn't want to. But there were some visuals that I was seeing from it that looked kind of interesting. So I'm like, maybe I will see it. Um, we'll see though. Wow. Oh my god, I love this Wikipedia. Thank you for telling me that the 11th installment of the Saw film series is the description for the new Saw film. It's literally coming out this year, and there's no description. Thank you. I love that. I guess there's not a trailer either. How the fuck is it coming out this year and we don't know what the fuck it's about? What the fuck? Uh, okay, so it's again centering around Jigsaw, the serial killer. Who would have guessed it? Honestly, I feel like at some point, uh, these movies, instead of trying to continue the story, they should just be doing like an anthology situation where it's like it's within the world. Well, I guess it is kind of still continuing the story. I was like, it's in the world, it's still the same killer, but it's not. I mean, I guess Spiral kind of did that where he was more of a copycat, but it's not technically, I don't know. It Spiral would be the anthology part of the series where it is within the, I guess Jigsaw too. Jigsaw and Spiral. Because Jigsaw is a copycat killer, and then God, I forgot about Saw 3D. What the fuck would you even do in 3D with Saw? Like, what are we doing? Ugh, I'm gonna have to rewatch all these movies too. So I gotta revisit Saw. I gotta revisit Final Destination, and I'm like, ugh, Final Destination. That first movie is so time capsule because it literally came out in 2000. They probably shot it in like 99. Like that was before PSA was the way it is currently. You could still smoke in public spaces. Such a different time. I was like, damn, I wish could have experienced planes and airports like that before it is currently. Because, oh my God, yeah, I just need to. Yeah, I am a silly goose and I had my mic the wrong way, so I was needing to sit closer to it. And then I realized, oh, wait, I can adjust my mic and do other things. That's crazy. But yeah, it's like interesting. I mean, I still need to see the movie Airplane. So many things to watch. So many things to watch. Oh God. And I was like, oh, I gotta finish The Sandman. And I'm like, "Ugh, fucking Neil Gaiman. Ruining shit. I mean, even I don't know, I was getting weird vibes in general. Or like I was just feeling like, I don't feel like supporting this man anymore. Like a few years ago, and I was like, the only thing I'm gonna even buy from him, if I was gonna buy anything else, was like a copy of Coraline. I don't know, I'm burpy for some reason. And I was gonna leave it at that and like not buy anything else from him. But now I'm like, I don't even know if I want to do that. Jesus. I might watch The Sandman only because for me, well, I'm probably not gonna watch it on Netflix. I'm gonna find it somewhere, I think. And then also for me, whenever I read his stuff, it doesn't it almost feels like the characters are talking through him. Like if we think of this idea of the muse and the muse not being or inspiration not being like an internal thing, but like a muse that is external and being told to you. I feel like there was like some fucking TED talk about this or something that made me start to think of ideas and creativity a little differently. But if I think of it that way, a lot of his stories kind of feel or felt that way of like it's as if this person possessed him and was like, I'm gonna tell my story through this person. I mean, they could have picked somebody better. But yeah, I don't know. I'm like I'm not about to directly support this man who is a serial abuser who doesn't want to admit that he was because he was able to essentially manipulate these people into agreeing to do these things that he wanted and didn't give them enough time to actually like think on it, and only when they fully leave the situation or and are left alone could they process and realize that they are being coerced into doing these things that they didn't want to do. Fucked up. Fucked up. And then let's see. Final. news thing, and then I'll get into movies and shows. But um, How to Die Alone got canceled, which was really sad to find out. Um, because literally the show ends, and I'm like, okay, so now we need a second season. Apparently, she even mapped out um the course of the character's arc over 4 seasons, and I'm like, yes, do it. We need more shows to be like, what is this character gonna do for the next few seasons? And like, do we feel like the show can be wrapped up quickly or not? Or if this is really gonna be just a one-off, one season situation. Anyway, I have a quote from her. I am shocked, heartbroken, and frankly baffled that Onyx, which was the Hulu program that was trying to tell underrepresented stories and, give people a platform. That's crazy. That was me inserting that. She didn't say that. But baffled that Onyx has decided not to move forward with a second season of How to Die Alone. This is a tough reality to accept because the show is an undeniable critical, creative, and award winning success. This show took me 8 years to bring to life, and if there's one thing I've learned in that time, it's resilience. I'm not giving up. My team and I are committed to finding How to Die Alone a new home because stories like this matter. Now more than ever, television that amplifies previously unheard voices and that prioritizes hiring and casting decisions that accurately reflect the diversity of the world is essential. Representation just isn't about visibility. It's about ensuring that our stories, our existence, and our cultural contributions are not erased. As Maya Angelou so wisely said, you may encounter many defeats, but you must not be defeated. In fact, it may be necessary to encounter the defeats so you know who you are, what you can rise from, how you can still come out of it. We are rising and we are not done. Which I was like, "Oh my god, I'm so excited." I'm like, "Damn, it really took you this long to create the show." And, it was doing really well. I didn't realize it was winning awards and whatnot, but I'm like, "Yes, well deserved. You deserve it." And I'm just so glad she's not giving up on finding a new home for this for the show, for this place. I don't know what the hell I was about to say. Um And I'm excited for season 2, honestly. Uh, I'm excited to see where this is gonna go. And also, she was in the first season. The creator and actress Natasha Rothwell was in the first season of The White Lotus, and she's currently going to be in the third season of White Lotus. So she's been going around promoting it, and people are also talking about this being canceled. Also, it's really funny being on her Twitter, and she's literally just tweeting at real Donald Trump, "You are trash," like every day. She's so fucking funny. But somebody had quote tweeted a post of her looking fucking gorgeous at this carpet event for the White Lotus, and talking about how like she had grown and everything. But they quoted a clip of her when she was in the show Insecure on HBO Max, and in in that clip she talks about how she like died 9 months ago, and I was like, wait, did she actually have a near death experience in real life and she's just written that in to different things? And I'm like, I'm thinking about it now, and I should have looked that up beforehand so I could just say that she did. Natasha Rothwell, near death experience. Natasha Rothwell. Did she almost die? I don't know. Dramedy. Okay. Oh, okay. I don't think she did. She's just using it in the show, I think. What the fuck is this website? Where am I? What am I using to search? Okay. I'm also trying to de-Google myself because Google is a piece of shit. I know that doesn't make sense because some people are probably going to be watching this on YouTube, which is owned by Google now. But at least for distribution of things, I'm gonna still use YouTube because I'm like, people are going to use this platform. I'm probably going to just use it less or try to find other places, but I'm like, I can still reach people through this, so I'm going to use it. I might have a TikTok or something, but I'm not going to use it personally. It's just going to be for re-uploads and for clips that I plan on making for the podcast that I'm going to post through like YouTube Shorts or whatever. They don't get posted on TikTok. They don't get posted on Instagram Reels. And Instagram's another thing that I don't want to use anymore. But I'm also like, social media. Uh, I did hear about Pixified, I think. Actually, okay. Before I go off on another tangent, what was I gonna say? Yeah, no, she's never had a near-death experience. Perfect. Um, Pixelfied, I think is what it's called. It's essentially what Instagram used to be. I'm like, oh, I miss old Instagram actually. I'm like, Instagram showed up right after Facebook was really big. And I remember even back then, I was like, I don't want to fucking join another goddamn fucking social media app. And that was when there was only like three. When it was fucking Facebook, MySpace was dead at that point, Instagram, and then Vine, I guess. But, you know, Pixelified, what it's called, and yeah, it definitely looks like old Instagram. It's literally just photo centric. And I'm like, wow, that's crazy. I do want a place to put my photos on and let people see it. And it's so fucking funny because Instagram is like shadow banning anyone who talks about it on Instagram and just like blocking the phrasing and everything on Instagram. I'm like, y'all are fucking hilarious and jealous. I'm like, literally, all people want. Nobody wants this fucking AI bullshit. Nobody wants this shit that is literally plagiarizing and taking from pre existing things that is ruining the environment and literally shutting down people's like grids and shit in poor communities. Nobody wants this. People just want it chronological order and to be able to see the things that their friends were posting. But no, no, give us fucking features we never asked for. Thank you. And like, people need to do more and just stop using these fucking apps. But there's so many people that are on Facebook that are like family members or whatever, or people from high school that I haven't talked to. I'm like, well, I guess I could post. I never post. I never post. I've only just recently started posting more on Instagram, and I got to make sure to use I think it's called Nightshade. Nightshade. There's like a filter that you can put over your artwork and things to like in case somebody tries to take it to train their AI on your fucking shit, it'll fuck up the AI and they won't be able to use it. And you can't even tell that there's a filter on your stuff. Like that's how good it is. But anyway, yeah, I'm so looking forward to yeah, my phone. I'm so looking forward to How to Die Alone coming back. Hopefully it comes back. I'm glad she's determined to just, finish this series and find it a new home rather than like giving up because yeah, I'm like, it already took you 8 years to make one season. If it takes you even longer than that to make another season, I mean, hopefully, fucking Christ, I hope not. But I'll be here. I'll be here waiting. I'm just like, it's reminding me of how like I'm kind of not like the fandom in me is like coming back because one of my favorite um people in K-pop is coming back with a new album and one of their band members is also like more active, even though they were like getting stupid controversy over him like fucking smoking weed. And then I think I want to say he tried to kill him. But anyway, I'm talking about Big Bang, and I'm talking about G-Dragon specifically, and I'm also talking about Top from Big Bang, who plays Thanos in the second season of Squid Games. And oh, he's so funny. I still need to watch Squid Games season 2. I plan on doing that. I plan on doing that too. I'm like, ugh, so many shows. At least with Squid Game season 2, I've already watched season 1. I honestly was like, wait, why are we making a second season? I know he wanted to go back, but do we have to go back? Also heard like this whole thing about Netflix kind of ruining the drama and cinema scene in South Korea, especially after um COVID kind of shut down a lot of local art house, local movie art houses. And now that everything's kind of gone to streaming rather than, putting it back in the community, it's like kind of fucking everything up. And I'm like, "Oh, you guys, please. I mean, yes, international fans love Korean dramas, Korean cinema, and all this stuff, but I'm like, y'all need to make sure you guys are seeing it too. It's like if Americans only put all of their new media in streaming and we never, you know, uh, put any of our like movies in theaters or something. I mean, Netflix is trying to force that shit, which I fucking hate. I'm like, no, I want to see the new sequel from Knives Out in fucking theaters. I don't want to see it on streaming. I want to see it in theaters. They were trying to say some bullshit of like Oppenheimer would have had the same cultural relevance if it was on streaming on Netflix only. And like, no, it fucking wouldn't. We wouldn't have gotten Bob Barbieheimer or whatever the fuck. Fucking Barbie, Oppenheimer, both of those movies coming out at the same time. I'm like, we wouldn't have got that shit if it was coming out on Netflix because no one would have gave a shit. No one would have gave as much of a shit. No one would have been memeing it. No one would have been making those fucking TikToks. It wouldn't have hit the same. Fucking all. But anyway, so like, there's so much controversy with Big Bang. It's kind of annoying, kind of upsetting. Most of it has to do with like the possible smoking of marijuana because that shit's like heavily illegal over there. And I think with G Dragon, it was like, oh, you might have smoked it in Japan. It's like, he's in Japan. Why the fuck should it matter if what the fuck he's doing over there? And his whole thing was like, well, somebody gave me a cigarette that smelled kind of funny and I smoked it. And it's like, okay, leave these people alone. I was also kind of noticing that South Korean government would use trials against idols as a way to distract people from the trials against their own government officials. And I was like, y'all, what the fuck are y'all doing over there? I mean, they fucking. Okay, that's been another thing too. To kind of go back into politics, but it's like we literally watched them 2 months ago storm their capital because their president was trying to their then president, he's been impeached now. Their then president was trying to incite martial law and had barricaded the whole building. And no, we watched these people scale these fucking walls and get in there and vote against him doing martial law. And you're telling me our fucking politicians can't do that same shit when one person is blocking the building and he looks like a fucking twig? Anyway, I've liked Big Bang since like 2009, 2010. They've been a group since 2006. I'm gonna still fucking love them. um, I mean, the shit with Sungri was kind of fucked. I I need to look into that again because it felt like there was a mixture of smear campaigns going on from different outlets and people just sharing misinformation. I need to look up again what he was fully charged with. I, at that time, thought he was only charged with illegal gambling, which again, gambling is also very illegal over there. Um, but people were saying that he was also charged with like prostitution. At the same time, they were trying to see if he was involved with like this crazy ring of what was it? Some other idol was like recording people without their permission and then sharing it in like this group chat and shit. And I'm like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Piece of shit. Um, so that was Sungri. Top and GD had the weed shit. Daesung. Um, I'm like, how do you, he got in a car accident and the person passed away, and that was pretty fucked up too. But it was an accident. And Taeyong is a short king that loves his wife and has a child. Like he's like the most innocent one of them all, who's like no controversies or anything. Um, he made that song "Eyes, Nose, Lips" to get her back, and did get her back. I had to pause because there was fire trucks or whatever. And I'm like, that was really distracting to hear, even though I don't think my mic picked it up. I'm like, no, but I can still hear it. And I don't want to try to ignore this while I'm trying to talk. But oh my god. And then there was like controversy with their recording label, YG Entertainment, which is part of the big three in South Korea. It's YG Entertainment, SM Entertainment, which I almost always almost say S and M Entertainment. I mean, they were doing those fucking slave contracts, which is what they were calling it, because a group could be signed onto them for 10 years and not get paid anything and be stuck there for 10 years, which is fucked up. SM Entertainment and JYP Entertainment. But yeah, there was like controversy with actually I forgot what the controversy was with IG Entertainment, but the CEO ended up having to step down, and then there was a new CEO, and then slowly but surely there were only like three members of Big Bang left because Top left after the whole weed scandal. Sungri obviously had to leave because of all of that crazy shit. And then I think all of them ended up leaving YG Entertainment or something. And then there was a whole thing with G Dragon because technically YG Entertainment owns that name, which is crazy. I think it was like some weird like either we own your name or you own the rights to all the songs you produced or something. I don't know, some crazy nonsense, but I think they figured some shit out or whatever. Or maybe it was involved with the old CEO, but the new CEO was like, why would we do that? I'm also like, that's literally his fucking name. Like Ji Young. Oh my god, I gotta work on my fucking Korean pronunciation. Uh, anyway, G Dragon is coming back. He released a new single a few months ago, and I was like, oh shit. Then I was like, okay, you've been really active on Instagram and also just active in general. What the fuck's going on? He's going to be on a new TV show on Disney Plus, a thing I don't have, I won't have. Even because he's on here, I'm like, no, we're going to find it somewhere else. I am not getting Disney Plus. Over, I don't need Disney. Um, and then he's going to be in LA for an 88 Rising thing, and I'm like, what's going on? He was in France performing something, and I'm like, what's going on? You're in different parts of the country. He did a Mama performance last at the end of last year, which is like a sort of I think it's always held in China. And usually sort of a bunch of different artists, Korean, Japanese, Chinese, of course. What's going on? And he also he released two new songs actually. So he released Power and then Home Sweet Home, which involves Taeyang and Daesung. I'm like, okay, new music, new Big Bang music, new G Dragon music. What's going on? Then he stated he's going on a world tour. I'm like, okay, okay, okay. We need to save money. We need to go. We're going. We're going. We're going. I'm not about to force myself to go all the way to LA for this 88 Rising thing where he is the headliner with 2anyone, who's also back. The fuck's going on? If he's coming over here, if he's coming over here to NorCal, I will be there. And then he announced he's dropping a new album, his third solo album. Because I was also like, yeah, no, he's got so many albums with Big Bang, but not that many by himself. This is his third solo album. I'm like, I'm gonna fucking get this. We're getting it. The fandom is real. I can wait. I can wait, Natasha Rothwell, for this second season. I can wait. I just need a refresher in the beginning of the episode for season 2, please, so I can remember what happened. But yeah, I'm like, I can wait. I can wait. I'm gonna dust everything off, even though I didn't have money at the time to buy any of the like glow sticks or merch. Really, I'm gonna buy it now. I'm gonna buy it now. All I had when I went to that Big Bang concert in 2014 or whatever was a one of a kind hat, which is the name of one of G Dragon's albums, and like a fucking Big Bang scarf or shit. I couldn't fucking everything else was sold out at the fucking concert in LA, and I was like, well, okay. I already forgot what I was gonna say. Uh, yeah. So updates on my life. Uh, what am I doing? Been taking a break from this. Been taking a break in general. I've mostly been working. I did start back at school again. I'm taking another film class. This time it's documentary film class, and which has been pretty interesting because it's kind of widened my scope on what is documentary film, and more specifically, what is nonfiction filmmaking. And I'm actually a lot more aligned with nonfiction filmmaking than I realized I was, and it's definitely more of what I want to do in the future with my art practice anyway. So I'm very excited for this class. And what have I been doing? I kind of paused on playing Infinity Nikki, but I am playing a different game from the creators of that called Love in Deep Space, which has been fun. No, it is not a Gooner game, just because you can use it as a period tracker. Apparently, Chinese games like adding period trackers into things. You know, what am I to say anything against that? I don't know. It's like a kind of like a dating sim game. There's different men. I was gonna say boys, but these guys are men. FYI. They all got different personalities. And it's only been out for a year, which is cool. I was just getting into it recently, and I'm like, you're saying all the right things. I'm like, you're filling this little hole in my heart right now. It's been kind of cute, but I do it in my spare time. Spare time. And yeah, let's get into the shows I've been watching. Should I get into the shows I've been watching? Because I think my boy is like snoring, maybe. I'm like, I can hear it, but I don't know if you can hear it. But yeah, let's just. I don't know. I'm like, how the fuck am I doing this structure? Dun, 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 dun. Anyway, so really big show that I have been enjoying. That's on its second season. Is oh, I burped, burp, burp. Is called Will Trent. Instagram kept feeding me ads for it in 2003. I think is when it came out. Yeah, 2003. I was like, what is this show with this guy holding a dog? I'm gonna just have to check it out. Like, leave me alone. To give a quick overview, it is based on Karen Slater's best-selling books. It follows Special Agent Will Trent of the Georgia Bureau of Investigations. As a child, Trent was abandoned and forced to endure a harsh coming of age in Atlanta's overwhelmed foster care system. Now that he's in a position to make a difference, Trent is determined to use his unique point of view to make sure no one is abandoned like he was. His personal motivation and background contribute to Will Trent having the highest clearance rate in the GBI. So he's autistic coded. He's a little neurospicy. He has dyslexia, so he can't really write anything down. He's always using like a tape recorder. And he's like super observant, but not in like a um not in like a supernatural sense. What am I trying to say? I feel like I keep thinking about fucking Sherlock's mind prism or whatever. I'm just like, yeah, he's not, it's not like that. He's just picking up shit that other people aren't necessarily picking up, but it's not to a point where everybody's like, oh, we need Will Trent. We need him because he can solve it. Like, thankfully, it's well rounded with like the partner he's paired with also noticing shit and they're working together. It's also taking place in Georgia, which is where I'm from originally. And I'm like, oh, a little nostalgia. It's not, some of the places look familiar, sometimes it doesn't. And I'm like, are y'all really in Georgia? Are y'all really there? I mean, some of it could be sets. They could also be using like Tyler Perry's fucking giant ass sound studio or whatever. I actually don't know where it's being filmed right now. Let's see. Tell me Wikipedia. Where is the production being made? Oh, and so it's on ABC, but I have been watching it through Hulu because I don't have normal television. Oh, so it is filming in Atlanta. Nice. Well, at least first season was. And I don't know, it's been a pretty good show. It satisfied that little thing in my brain that's like, "Oh, yes, solve it. Solve the mystery. Put the pieces together. I just need it. I need it sometimes." And what else did I want to say? Oh, so yeah, so there's a big thing too because he is so um bound to his convictions that we start off the first season with him not being liked by ADP, which is like the plainclothes cops, because he had uncovered, surprise, surprise, a bunch of corrupt cops and arrested all of them, and they were forced to leave service. And everybody's like, "Oh, I hate you," and I'm like, "He's doing his fucking job, first of all." But yeah, and then he actually ends up getting paired with the daughter of someone that he had to put, um, that was also part of the corrupt cop shit. And I mean, she's only petty about it in the beginning, but then she was also like, no, I get it. You were literally doing your job, the thing that people should do, you know? But okay, so I was excited for this season because the second season we leave off, it is, I mean, I guess I'll also say there's, of course, spoilers for this. I'm in season three. Y'all have probably never even heard of this show, you know. But season two, we there's like a build up. I'm like kind of talking about people. I'm just gonna jump into it. I think I will do a further dissection of the show next week because what I want to do now is try to post weekly episodes, and I'll do one episode that is more focused on the TV shows that I'm watching, and I'll do like actual breakdowns of the shows and spend more time with it. And then the other episode will be about the movies I've recently watched, whether that's in theaters or streaming at home, so that I can give space to both of these things. Now, I am also thinking about maybe talking about some of the web comics that I read because I do read a lot of things on Tapas, Webtoon, TappyToon, and stuff like that. And I'm like, I never talk about these to anyone, really. And they would be kind of fun to talk about. A lot of them are isekais or romance fantasy genre or like reincarnation situations. There's all like these fan centric phrases like Truck-kun, who's like usually in one of these isekai webcomics, a person will be walking or whatever. They're in like our reality, and then a truck comes out of nowhere and runs them over. And then they're taken into the world that they're either just reading about or just playing the game of or whatever, something like that. And it's funny. But I also realized we're probably using the wrong phrasing because a lot of web comics are actually Korean that's then been translated into English. And I think Webtoon specifically is also based in South Korea. And I think they also either them or another country, I mean, another company in South Korea just bought Tapas. So, and they're both Korean based, so we should actually be using Korean. I don't know what those are called. Suffix, like it should be like truck, truck opa. I don't know, truck sunbae. Something like that, not Soon or San or whatever. It's like it's not Japanese actually. We're not reading a manga. Web comics in the like long stroll scroll. There we go. Long scroll format is specifically a South Korean invention, and like they were the first people to do it. So but yeah, so I'll either read a lot of isekais, which I'm kind of calmed down on. It depends on like the plot, honestly. I've definitely been reading a lot of like revenge ones where the I just realized I was talking about Will Trent and now I'm talking about something completely different. We're gonna get back to Will Trent. We're gonna get back to Will Trent, I swear. Um but yeah, I've been reading a lot of like revenge ones where the person like dies and then is and not reborn, but more so they regress to maybe like the age they were 10 or something, and they're like, oh, I have all the knowledge of my adult self and I remember all like major events that happened, so I'm going to use all of that to then take revenge on the people that used me in my previous life, um and either kill them or bring despair to these people or whatever. I'm like, yeah, I eat that shit up. I want to see this revenge plot come out. I've been kind of annoyed with some of them though, because sometimes the people will be like, "Oh, you had a legitimate reason for this. Maybe I won't have blind rage against you." I'm like, "No, no, no, don't redeem these people." I am reading one where the person's like, "No, these people are awful and they're still doing the same things even though they are children and they have not done the terrible things that they did to me as adults. They are still terrible children." And she's committed to her revenge against them. And I will probably talk about that one next week, maybe. I don't know. So I feel like when I do the TV episodes, it'll be like me introducing the show, talking about one episode I've watched or something, because I can also just use it to talk about like an episode of Murder She Wrote if I've gotten into that again, an episode of Columbo, an episode of The Pretender or something. depending, because I'm like, I have my comfort shows that I go back to, or I'm just like playing Smosh in the background, doing nothing while playing Love in Deep Space or Lads, which I will call it from now. Oh, those lads. But getting back to Will Trent. So in the second season of Will Trent, we are actually I'm like, wait, what's going on? Um, no, I guess here, let me pause. Okay, that took a second. But it seems like I had just mixed up the events of season two, like all the seasons, basically. I couldn't remember if it was the end of season one when Angie, works, who's a detective as well, and is Will Trent's like not lifelong, but she's someone that has been in his life in also a part of foster care, also grew up around him, and has been like an on again, off again girlfriend situation. She struggled with addiction and she also grew up being like sexually assaulted. So she has like a lot of trauma, and the addiction more than likely is the uh, the cause of the trauma. The addiction is the uh remedy, but she's working on being on her sobriety and whatnot. Um, and at the end of season one, I was trying to remember when this happened. The end of the season one, uh, a person who primarily abused her in her past, she finds out has been released. And so this triggers her in a lot of ways, and that's the end of season one. And I couldn't remember if season two was when we were dealing with uh men dying or whatever. But essentially what happens is season two, I mean, obviously there's other cases, and I do like this about Will Trent in that he is the main character, but it is an ensemble cast, and we're dealing with him and his partner, and then Angie and Irmwood, who are other partners. So we're dealing with two pairs, and then also their boss, who sometimes pops in. I feel like she's going to become more involved in this new season, season 4. But anyway, so uh another thing that's happening in season 2 is that he Will Trent is so he doesn't know anything about his actual birth parents or anything like that. He knows that he was found in a dumpster, and so he's always lived with this idea that his parents never cared about him. And so in season 2, he actually finds out the truth behind it of like his mom was actually she was like a sex worker, a prostitute essentially, and she was actually uh raising money to leave Georgia and then sort of move away and create a better life because she was pregnant with Will Trent at the time, but she got involved with someone who's a serial killer and was being tortured and everything. And I think she basically dies giving birth to Will Trent, who was a baby she actually definitely wanted, but she died, and that's how he was found in this dumpster. And I'm like, we this whole story arc was crazy to just for it to unravel in season 2. But I'm like, it's crazy to even just say that that's what happened. But at the same time that that's happening, we have Angie dealing with someone who abused her, claiming that, oh, he's rehabilitated. He's now in a relationship with a woman who has a teenage daughter. And again, this is triggering Angie and making her believe like this girl is probably being put through the same things I was when I was her age. And so she's following him, keeping tabs on him. She's trying to get close to the daughter and make sure the daughter is okay. And then we come to find out near the end of the season that no, he has not been rehabilitated. He has indeed been sexually abusing this girl. and the girl snaps and slices his throat. And Angie, being a cop, is like, "Shit, we're gonna cover this up because I don't want the girl going to jail. Like, I don't want her to go to jail and that ruin her life." So Angie covers it up and takes the fall for it. So we kind of end season 2 with like her taking the fall for that, her being captured by the serial killer that also captured Will Trent's mom. So much drama. So much drama. So then we come back to season 3 and we have Angie still in the daughter's life. Will Trent has been able to locate her his mom's brother who's still in the area. He finds out he's Puerto Rican. He's trying to learn Spanish. There's all these like really wholesome things going on the side. And in the background, we are finding out that there seems to be like a serial killer popping up because a lot of these men are showing up dead and they are in like the middle of the woods or something. And it turns out that the girl that Angie took the fall for has been luring these men into the woods using these um online pages or whatever to, get them to talk to her and everything like that. And then she's been getting on top of them and I mean more so like in a where you're sitting on your like legs essentially. She was in that position on top of their lungs and suffocating them to death and watching them die because that was the trauma she was carrying from the man who was sexually abusing her. He would be on top of her in that way, and she found it suffocating. And so this girl has been fucking killing men, and Angie covered for her. And then Will Trent connects the dots and realizes what happened, and the season ends with like him being like, "Shit, do I, you know, cover her or do I arrest her because she did something wrong?" And Will Trent, having his convictions, he chose, you know, doing the right thing over the love of his life, essentially, and arrested her in front of everybody. And that was in season 3. And I was like, oh my god, the drama. And we're even seeing him like having like visions of like what his life would be like if he continued being with her romantically and all this stuff and how happy he would be and all this stuff. And he's like, but I can't, it goes against all of his morals to like just let this go. I mean, obviously he didn't have to arrest her in front of everybody, but I digress. So now we're in season 4 and I'm like, okay, so are we going to pick up from where we left off? But we don't. I'm like, upset. But we do see Angie isn't in jail. She's like on probation and she's being forced to work at a gated community as like a security guard. Will Trent is also not working. He's like in Tennessee with facial hair. Also, I forgot to mention Betty. Betty is so cute. She's like a little chihuahua. She's so adorable. Her she came from he had a next door neighbor who passed away, but the person didn't have any family or anything like that. And so the person who was clearing out the house was like, "Do you want the dog?" And he first had put her up to a shelter and he was like, "Y'all are a no kill shelter, right?" And he said they were like, "No." So he's like, "Actually, I'm just gonna keep the dog. Yeah, we're just gonna keep the dog. I don't know if anybody's gonna take the dog." And now Betty's so cute. I'm like, "Oh, she's a working doggo." Um, I gotta remember how this person gets involved, and their life. Um, but there's this character named Nico who's like a non-binary character who ends up being like someone that Will hires to take care of Betty when he's at work and all this stuff. They made Betty an Instagram and everything like that, and people are fans of Betty and like send Betty buy things off of Betty's wish list or whatever. And I'm like, damn, this dog got more Instagram followers than me. That's like a cute like side thing that's happening. And also that's another thing too. It's like um I'm like, wow, that's cool. You have this like non-binary character going on. You have Will Trent who's neurospicy coded. Um Obviously there's black people. I'm like, we're in Atlanta. There can't not be black people in this fucking show. And even in this season, we find this character who is he's like in gangs and everything, but he's like a overtly gay man who has a daughter and will actually yeah, that's the beginning of the first season. So this person is being accused of I think killing someone and he's like, I'm not gonna leave my house. I'm not gonna talk to anyone but Will Trent. So they have to find out where the fuck he is and bring him back because this guy doesn't want to talk to anyone except for him. So we come to find out that Will Trent and him have a history in like I think the foster home or something. And uh yeah, so this is like an overtly gay man who is also the leader of a gang. And we find out, and Will finds out at the same time that this man has a daughter who's been kidnapped. And of course, Will's like, so how did that happen? He's like, called myself experimenting, and then one thing led to another. I'm not straight, but I do love my child. And I'm like, I know that's right. And yeah, so now I'm like, what else is there to say? So I definitely like that. It's like, you're touching on gay and trans identities in the show. You have black characters. Of course, this is a gay man who's black, um, with a black ass child. I know that's fucking right. And I don't know. I just like the show. It's been really good. I need to catch up to the latest episode. We finally had Angie and Will kind of talk through some of their stuff. Not really. They've like touched on it, but not really. But yeah, moving on. Anyway, so another show I've been watching and need to get back into watching and catch up to is Sakamoto Days. It is about a legendary hitman who retired for love but must fight to protect his family from his past. Toro Sakamoto, once the world's greatest hitman, retired after falling in love and starting a family. However, his former rivals and partners don't believe he's left the business and try to take him out. Barred from killing, Sakamoto must use creative methods to subdue his enemies while protecting his family, store, and town. It's been really cute. It's been really funny. Mainly because it's just like everybody doesn't. I'm just like y'all are silly. He's just like adorable and like chubby, and he's like I'm just trying to run my little grocery store with my wife and my daughter, and everybody's like, you used to be a hitman. We got to take you out or whatever. Like his former boss was like, shit, he might, I don't know, go to the cops or something. I'm like, if he hasn't done it. Oh wait, no, 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 no. It was like he left the business unofficially, like he needed to officially leave and or whatever. And I'm like, are you trying to tell me you just put a fucking resignation letter into being a hitman or something? I'm like, y'all are silly. But I'm like, it's been funny. It's definitely like a mix of like slice of life and action, because he'll just have these like really chill days and he's got a head empty, which is kind of funny because one of the characters, the first character he runs into, is someone he used to work with, but he can read minds. So he's like, huh, he's not thinking anything. And then all of a sudden he's thinking of different ways to kill people. And he's like, stop killing me in your head, please. Stop it. So that's been kind of fun. That's on Netflix. So I'll probably, another Netflix thing I gotta watch. It's so funny. My Netflix is so funny. So I share it with my family. I haven't done the pay more. Oh, my little boy is shaking in his sleep. Let me pet him. It's okay, buddy. Like, what kind of dream you having there, buddy? He's like directly in front of me. I'm on my little kotatsu and he's sleeping on it. The kotatsu's on, that's why he's on top of it. Uh, anyway, so yeah, I share my Netflix with my family. My family's in Georgia, and I did not pay more for password sharing. I did also travel and log into my Netflix while over there at their house. So, but I don't use Netflix like that, like at all. Like at all. Like I'm on there and then I'm not on there. So when I do finally log in, Netflix is like, "Hey, are you traveling? Because your Wi-Fi network is different from your home network. What's going on there?" And I'm like, yes, I am." And they're like, "Well, you got 14 days to use the service and then you can't." But it's like I do this often enough where I'm not on Netflix and then come back that they just do the same fucking thing again to me of like, "Are you traveling?" And I'm like, "Yes, I am." And then I use Netflix for 2 days and then I don't come back for like 6 months. So I'm like, yeah, to them they think I'm traveling and to me I'm just like, I just don't use your fucking app, man. Sometimes there's like good K-dramas on there, but like I was saying earlier, like Netflix is kind of fucked Korean cinema in a way. So I'm like, oh. Amazon sometimes has Amazon Prime sometimes has like good K-dramas. Vicky is still a good source for K-dramas as well. So I'm like, I think they're more official now, I think. I don't know, I had to look into that. But yeah, those are the two shows I've been watching recently, Will Trent and Sakamoto Days. So I guess we can get into the movies. That was another thing too. Why I was like, ugh, I don't know if I want to do an episode. Like I didn't want to do like I kind of wanted to do a movie recap, but I also didn't. So I was like, I don't know. And I also kind of wanted to have my friend on the pod too. But I'm also like, I think I'm gonna wait to do any guests on my pod until like I hit my 10th episode, maybe. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Oh, my baby's getting comfortable. Yes, get comfortable. Um, anyway, so rather than try to um rank everything from best to worst of what I've seen and go through every single thing, instead of doing that, I'm gonna just go with like what movie stuck with me, and I'm mainly doing that because I don't really remember what I watched last year anyway. But to sort of go with what movie stuck with me. So there was I saw the TV Glow, which was fantastic. Very good, both overt and subversive analogy for being trans and how it feels to sort of move through life, feeling like both alien in your body and just like you're alien, like you are an alien, um, amongst other people of like, yes, this is who I am, this is who society tells me to be, but I don't feel like this, and people think I'm strange because I'm not following along with what is expected of me of my gender presentation. And then just the sort of dealing with the internal screaming of something is wrong, but I don't know what it is, and I can't do anything but scream. Ness that is being trans and being dealing with body dysmorphia and all this stuff. I'm like 7 months on tea, microdosing it, and I, for the first time, um, like I actually have the will to live, Like it's kind of wild. And I'm like, if I wasn't already starting tea before seeing that movie would have convinced me to actually make a change and make a difference because um doing hormones, getting top surgery, and socially transitioning, those were all things that I was thinking about on and off for years before actually doing any of those things. And if I was still indecisive about that, that movie definitely would have like been the push to do it. And it's specifically a horror movie, and it's a horror that in reality a lot of people are currently living in, and even more so because of the way our government is trying to push back on all the gender affirming care that people, especially like children and teens, can get. And I'm like, I hate the misinformation that Republicans have spread that have caused just regular people to think that fucking surgeries are happening on kids when the only thing that's really happening is allowing children to socially transition, whether that's using the pronouns that they want to use or using the chosen name that they want to use or dressing in clothes that they want to wear that aren't necessarily associated with their gender assigned at birth. And truly the only medical thing that's happening is blockers, which again is like something I wish I knew about when I was a child. I wish I even had the language to explain how I was feeling about my body changing because of puberty and how foreign and um how much I didn't like that. I liked what my body was before puberty hit, and my body changing to become something I didn't necessarily want made me depressed, made me suicidal because it was something that I wasn't in control of. And so I'm like, yeah, something like puberty blockers to like at least slow down the process so that I could figure out like, hey, maybe I do want to have a chest. Maybe I do want to have hips or whatever, like all the things associated with being assigned a female. But reality is not really. I mean, love having an ass. That's fine. I'm okay with the bottom part of my body, and I'm okay with having a long torso. My arms are fucking arming out over here because I work out and, fucking, well, honestly, I don't, but I lift a lot at work. And, but yeah, no, like my chest. I'm like, if all the things that happened to me, if I didn't grow in a chest, I would be fine. And I'm like, I hate that I had this idea of puberty when I was younger of like, well, I was assigned female at birth, so the things that I get through puberty should hopefully make me feel connected to that gender. So hopefully I'll get a bigger chest. And um because my idea of what a woman should look like was like a bigger, busty woman. Um, and I'm like, I don't look like that, so I don't want I don't want to be that. Um, but I don't know. I'm like, it's a fantastic movie. It is also a horror movie, so of course it's getting like snubbed in like all the major like fucking Oscars and shit. Um, Oh, well, a fucking other movie. What, Amelia Perez is getting all this like buzz. I'm honestly surprised that The Substance is even getting anything because it's also a horror movie, even more overtly horror than Evie Glow is, but I don't know, man. Um, anyway, so another movie that stuck with me is this movie called La Camera. It's an Italian film that the main character is an actor who was also in Challengers. The actor Joseph O'Connor, who was like the scruffy guy who kind of got it. He's a part of the love triangle in Challengers. He's not necessarily like getting in between them. I feel like they're all a part of it. Like, what's his name in? No, there's like Art, and then there's like now I'm talking about Challengers. What is his name? What is his name? Oh, I'm gonna scream right now. Oh my god. I'm like, please give me character names. God damn it. Dun, 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 dun. Patrick. His name is Patrick in Challengers. So yeah, he's in Challengers. He's Patrick. He's the scruffy guy who needs money and he's good at tennis, but not that good. Or I don't even know. He just comes from money, but he's struggling. These people. Anyway, in La Camera, we watch him come home. I know that for this movie, they specifically casted someone who was British and who wasn't necessarily good with Italian because they wanted this level of like foreignness to him. And he did spend time learning Italian, so he has a accent or whatever. And so he's coming home. Apparently, he was in prison for whatever reason. We find out later that it's because he is a part of this group of people that basically are like anthropologists, but not really. They He has this sort of ability to find antiques buried, and they all come together and dig it out, and then they sell it to someone who gives them a bunch of money. They don't really know who this person is, but they work through a fucking veterinarian office, which is kind of wild. And yeah, so he gets back into that. Um you can tell he's not really living the best life. I'm like, oh man, because I saw Challengers first. So he went from like scruffy and Challengers, scruffy in Italy, Italian, and Italian. And honestly, I feel like he probably filmed these around the same time or something because the level of Scruffy was kind of the same. But he, I don't know, he feels like he's kind of going along with what these people are doing, and in a lot of ways, I feel like no, not necessarily. I don't know what I was about to say. We get flashbacks of a woman and we are mostly following him and what he's doing. And so, especially because the flashbacks are like in like 60 millimeter or whatever film, and they did actually shoot this in film. Yeah, and it's a gorgeous film. Um, so I'm picking up the themes of like grief and him mourning this person and kind of just doing these sort of bad things, destructive things because he both this stuff is familiar to him, but also he just doesn't want to like sit with the feeling of loss. Uh, and then so when he uncovers this antique that this sort of it almost looks like a I'm like what the hell is it called? An altar. Looks like an altar to a some sort of goddess who had something to do with animals, maybe. And this is like a big find, of course. And they run into people who oh, no, no, no. So they think that this woman who was with them left and called the cops, and then they hear these sirens, and then they run away. But the team's like, we're gonna at least take the head. And he's watching this and he's like devastated because, to him, it's like he knows a lot about what these things are. And he is, um, I mean, we don't fully get confirmation about this, but it's insinuated that he more than likely had a background in anthropology and is like an academic and has a appreciation for these things. And the people he's in business with essentially are more about finding things in the money behind it. They don't really care about the history or anything. That's not important to them, even though they are actually Italian, which is kind of interesting. So he's like looking at this monument, this like gorgeous like marble thing, and then he sees them destroy it. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, no, that hurt. But I mean, they were doing it because they were like, well, we're gonna have to dismantle it and then put it back together because that's the only way to get it out of this cavern, essentially. And then sirens show up, and then they run away with the head, and they again leave him behind. And again, we're shown like, oh, okay, so y'all were probably about to get caught doing something, but he was the slow one, and y'all, instead of like trying to help him or whatever, y'all left him to get arrested. That's fucked up, you guys. And so, um, they all sort of get this head and they find out that mm, they were tricked essentially, and a different group of people got the rest of her rest of this statue out of the space and sold it to person that they usually sell stuff at. And she is actually like an art collector and sells artwork, basically sells the artwork at a higher profit than she was giving them. And so they're like, we have an offering for you. This is the head of the thing you're trying to sell. And he's the one holding it and he's like staring at it, and they're on a boat, by the way. And he decides to throw it overboard, and everybody's upset with him. There's a level of surrealism in here too, because it's like he, has this power and everything, and it's almost like he's seeing ghosts or whatever that are talking to him through the objects that he's found of, from the past. And he does one final job with a different group of people because they don't want to talk to him. I guess it's also like a musical in a way because there are different songs that are being sung throughout the movie that are also telling the story of this group of people and his journey and everything like that. I mean, it's not like a musical in a traditional sense of like everybody's going to jump out into song, but there are songs, at least two songs in it that are relevant to the story and the people involved in the story and kind of give us like background information. And yeah, he works with the other team on a final set, and he is digging and looking, and he ends up getting trapped under the space. And we can only assume that he dies because in the next clip, we're brought back to the 60 millimeter memory of this woman, and this woman and him meeting up finally. So, yeah, and I was like, "Oh man, this is a great film about grief and trying to force yourself not to work through those emotions and just like burying yourself in like work and everything like that." There's a level of surrealism with it. Um, like it's poetic, it's beautiful. It's in Italian. I did watch it in theaters, but I do believe it's on Hulu now because they have a partnership with Neon, I think, is the distribution that was behind this one for America. So, yeah, so it was that one. And then I guess I wanted to talk more about Nosferatu because I wrote it down. I'm like, I have my little notes, so not off track all the time. But I don't know, it was a good film. I definitely enjoyed it. There was sort of a, I guess, kinship. I don't know, because I'm like, that sort of thing's definitely, I mean, it's kind of crazy to say that that sort of thing's happened to me before, but this sort of like pulling of some sort of supernatural force. I'm like, damn, I was just in psychosis or something. Damn, that's crazy. So I could kind of relate to the main character in that regard. But I'm like, there wasn't anything at the end of that for me. I wasn't met with some like fucking supernatural entity that was so down for me, down bad for me that, they died in the sun. I'm like, nah, that didn't happen. I'm like, I don't know, was it a dream? Was it reality? I'm talking about myself. But yeah. So so I got a letterbox because I wanted to remember what the hell I've been watching. So now I have a letterbox. I want to say it's just V underscore noir, and that's noir with a E, not without the E. So I've already logged two films, which I will get into now. And the first one is The Colors Within, which is an anime. No, I'm like, yeah, no, it's an anime film. I did see this in theaters, and it was pretty good. It's kind of funny. I think even in my letterbox, I was like, this is for the girlies who grew up on Christian rock music, and maybe they had a little religious trauma, but no religious trauma here. Because let's see, it is about. Mm, I hope I don't just completely destroy the phrasing of this. It is about Tosoku. Soko? Tosoko sounds right. Who sees people's emotions as colors, forms a band with Kimi and Rue. As they practice, music strengthens their bonds and reveals their true nature. So it's like she has always been kind of an outsider, but pretty bubbly, and she's been able to um I don't know, it says emotions, but that's not how it's really portrayed in the movie. It's definitely more about um I kind of took it as like she sees these people's like aura, like a aura reading or something. Like everyone just has these different colors and maybe they come out more when a person's more enthusiastic or something, but so she's always been able to see that, and she's kind of grown up to not talk about that because people would look at her weird or funny or whatever. And honestly, in the trailer I was watching, I was like, "Oh, is this gonna be Sapphic?" Because I thought it was, I thought she was just gonna be gay with the girl that she meets, that's also in the school, but she's not. Even though I definitely think there was like at least a gay panic scene where she does meet this girl, and she's like, "These are the most beautiful colors I've ever seen a person have." And then it goes nowhere with that. She's just like, I just want to be your friend. Oh my God, do you make music? Why don't we make a band together? Like, this is, it just doesn't go any further than that. And I'm like, damn, that is cute. The music's really good too, which is nice. I'm always like, thank God. I'm like, you can't make a thing about music and then the music is bad, you know? Like, don't do that. Please, love of God. And I'm like, it wasn't overtly religious, although there definitely was like a song where they used Amen. And I was like, damn, y'all couldn't escape this Christian rock thing. But honestly, it's like these kind of misfits and not misfits, but like just outsiders who with the main character, we can see that she's trying to fit in, and she has this like persona about her because it's just a way that she's able to navigate through life without people treating her differently. And then the girl who she runs into is very quiet, and I want to say she ends up getting like kind of bullied out of the school. I can't really remember. Um, Essentially, she was like, I don't want to fucking be here anymore. And she drops out of school, but she doesn't tell her grandma she's dropped out of school. So she just ends up dressing like she's going to school, then goes to her part time job as a way to like earn extra money. And then while the main character is trying to find Kimi, because I'm like, let me use their names. While she's trying to find Kimi and find the bookstore that she works at, when she finally finds her, they run into the guy who joins their band, who enjoys music so much he ends up buying a lot of different um DAWs and other equipment to use. I think he has a wow, the name of it, a theremin, I think. A theremin? Yes. um they run into him and he's like, wow, I always see you playing guitar, you're so good. And then they end up, forming this band together, and they go to a space that he can use for whatever he wants. It's like literally it's a church, and he does like restoration there. By restoration, I mean he's just cleaning. And um yeah, so it's like you have the main character who is kind of hiding her true self, but she's like quiet. She's friendly with her roommates, but it doesn't really look like she has any other friends outside of them. You have the person who dropped out of school, and then you have the guy whose mom has the expectations of him also becoming a nurse or like physician essentially and taking over the family clinic. But he wants to do music, but he's never told her that he wants to do music. And so, yeah, so, all these people come together and they end up making music together with each other. And the whole thing is like, we will do this so that we don't regret not doing this in the future, especially if we plan on not pursuing music. And so they end up, the main character is the one that comes up with some lyrics to songs, and they end up making songs together, and it kind of all culminates. Is that the right next day? It all comes together at a school festival performance, and and it ends up being really wholesome and really cute. And like the main character's parents show up, the grandma shows up, the guy's mom shows up because he finally gets the courage to tell her about like his love of music and everything. And yeah, it's a cute film. I really liked it. And yeah, oh yeah, so the other movie that I ended up watching, which I watched like a few days ago, is Companion. Now, I didn't see the trailer. I didn't read anything about it. The only thing I saw was a teaser trailer that gave me just enough of visuals for me to be like, I'm gonna watch this. I'm not about to watch a trailer. I don't need to know anymore. I don't need to know anymore. And I'm also like, I think the last part of this pod is gonna be this movie. So if you don't want spoilers for it, I'll just say goodbye to you now and see you next week. But but anyway, so to get into it, I would say the main thing is that this movie is only an hour 30 minutes, and I was like, oh my god, we're back to classic movie times of only being an hour 30 minutes. Can you fucking believe it? So within the first 30 minutes, actually, it gets right into it, and it's revealed to us that the main character, or at least the person we're following, is actually a robot. She is basically a sex bot, or companion, as they're being called. And she was modded to kill the Russian owner of this house in like a remote area because the humans, I'm going to say humans and robots because another robot is involved, but he doesn't know he's a robot, or they don't know that he knows he's a robot. But anyway, so the main guy mods his robot girlfriend to kill this man so that they can steal his millions of dollars in a safe or whatever. But he's a dumbass and revealed this all to her because he wanted to say goodbye when he could have just, kept her offline, took her mod off of her, and, maybe then revealed this, I guess, if he felt like it, and then said goodbye. But he's a dumbass. And she's like, "What are you talking about?" Her aggression has been turned all the way the fuck up because there is a safeguard, um yeah, so that they don't harm people. So of course there's mods to make her be able to harm people, obviously. And so let's see, while she's like tied up or whatever, we learn that the guy who came with his boyfriend didn't know what the fuck was about to happen, didn't know about this plan. Then they explain it to him, and then they're like, "Well, yeah, we're gonna split it three ways." And he's like, "What are you talking about? My boyfriend's here." And he's like, "Don't be weird, don't do this." And so we find out that the boyfriend is also a robot, and it's like, oh, that's crazy. Also, he's played by Harvey Guillen, and I'm like, oh, I love him. He's being gay and in this thing. And Lucas Gage, I think that's how I think that's his last name. Lucas Gage is playing the boyfriend who like we're circling back to White Lotus, who I've first seen in the first season of White Lotus, who was kind of gay for pay for that that one fucking guy who was the manager at the resort. And I'm like, and I feel like since then he's been playing these like sort of gay bi characters, and I'm like, is he? But I mean, I don't know. I'm also like, he doesn't have to be out to play to for it to be okay for him to play gay characters. I think it's really odd for that push to have people loud and out while also playing these characters, because again it's like they're acting. If it's a believable performance and the character has nuance, then I'm not gonna also be like, no, you need to tell me you're gay, you know. I'm like, no, you did a good job, this feels authentic. If you are gay but you don't want to be publicly out, that's okay. We don't Everyone doesn't need to be publicly out. And at this point, it's definitely like a safety issue because, again, we're in a country that is going to be overtly, um, you know, against LGBTQAI plus people because they wanted to get rid of everything else. Anyway, so, and then who else is in this? Jack Quaid is playing the main guy who's a dumbass. And I'm like, oh, but he's lovable petite hooey from The Boys, which is kind of funny. And then the person playing the companion is actually this woman who was a heretic. Funny enough. So I was like, oh shit. Actually, I didn't recognize her because she's wearing these clothes and not at all being like her character from Heretic. Um her name is Sophie Thatcher. I'm like, that's cool. I'm like, get that money. Be in more of these movies. And I'm like, what happens? So then Harvey Guillen's character, he teams up. Oh wait, no. First, the robot escapes, obviously, because she's like, "Y'all are gonna kill me. The fuck? I need to run away." And she escapes. They're like, we gotta go split up and find her. And Jack Quaid's character, pulls out the gun from the safe that the Russian had, of course. And he's like, well, we're gonna have to take her out. I'm like, let me get these character names so I'm not calling them by their real names. Character names. Oh, fucking, I forgot about this, but fucking, Josh, that's Jack Quaid's, character. His fucking pet name for her, whose name is Iris, his pet name for fucking Iris is Beep Boop. Beep Boop? Are you fucking kidding me? And he's calling her that before it's revealed to us that she's a robot. I'm like, and when he said that to her, I was like, that's an odd nickname. And he was also like, he said something like, oh, what's the weather like today? And she would go into this voice that was essentially like a hey Siri asking her what the weather was. And he's like, oh, I always love that. And she's like, what are you talking about? And I was like, yeah, what are you talking about? She just knows the weather. Duh. And again, I didn't know that she was a robot until it was revealed because I haven't seen the trailer or anything. So I was just like, oh, yeah, y'all were telling us before even telling us. So I get it. And then, so yeah, so Eli, which is Harvey Guillen's character, and then what's his name? Patrick, which is Lucas Gage's character. Eli and Patrick break off from the group. And so it's Josh and Kat, which is the woman played by Megan Suri, who was cool. I liked her. I mean, I also get it because she was like, I don't like you, Iris, because I feel like you're going to replace me. And I thought she was saying this from like a racial sense of because Kat is like literally an Indian woman. I thought she was just talking about like being replaced by like a petite, thin white woman. And she's like, no, like a robot. And it was kind of interesting because it was like Kat was kind of describing her life about like, oh well, I fuck whenever he wants me to. He gives me money and all this stuff. And I'm like, that kind of just describing what Iris does as a robot sex bot, but you're a person. So I was like, there's kind of like a comparison here. But anyway, so Kat and Josh break off, Eli and Patrick break off, and then Eli and Patrick are actually really close to where Iris is, and she overhears their plan, but then we also hear Eli talk about like, I love you even though you're a robot. I know that's crazy to say, but I love you and I'm in love with you. And there's like this really touching and heartwarming moment between both of them. And I'm like, actually, forget the killer robot part. Can we just get this love story? And we uh see how Patrick has like the touchstone, the memory, um if we're thinking about Westworld of like what helps them, have some level of humanity. So like the beginning memory for him is like meeting Eli for the first time in this like party, and he's like stepping on the T-Rex's tail, and then Eli takes his costume head off, and then he instantly falls in love with him or whatever. And I'm like, that's so cute, so wholesome, so precious. I love you guys. You're so cute. I love it. And then Iris kills Eli after. Oh wait, Eli was the one with the gun. I don't know why I thought Josh gets the gun later. Sorry, Eli had the gun. They fight over the gun, and then Iris accidentally kills Eli because the gun goes off. And I thought Patrick was gonna go Terminator and just go hunt Iris down, but because Patrick also was like legitimately in love with Eli, he was overcome with grief and sadness and was just holding Eli's dead body this whole time. And Josh is trying to wake him up and be like, no, now we gotta go get Iris. We gotta go get her. And you know what the fuck he does? He resets Patrick. And he makes Patrick believe that the memories he had of him and Eli are actually him and Josh. I'm like, this is so fucked up. Like, literally, we had this like maybe 10 minutes of seeing how much in love with each other they are, and then he dies, and now you're replacing those memories with yourself, basically making this man forget the love of his life because you want to get away with murdering this Russian person who we find out isn't even like a fucking criminal. Cat just like never explained. He's not even really a bad guy. They just killed this fucking man to steal his money. I'm like, how they just stole his fucking money? Anyway, so Iris is still on the run. She's like, oh, she steals the phone that Josh uses to basically control her and control what language she speaks in, her eye color, her intelligence, which he had set at 40% instead of 100%. So still, she's like, wow, great job, Josh. So of course she moves her intelligence up to 100% because yeah. And she's trying to go away using his smart car, and that's not working because her voice isn't registered to the car. It's only Josh's. And then she's like, oh shit, I can just change my voice octave to go lower and change it to Josh's. And Josh is there trying to break open the car, and he can't. And then his foot gets ran over by the car. Wait, after his hand gets slammed by the door. I'm like, oh, this man is going through it. And this is funny because it was after me seeing, because I saw this in theaters, after me seeing a trailer of Jack Quaid in a new movie called Novocaine, where he's essentially someone who can't feel pain and then uses that to basically try to find a woman he just met, I guess, or something. I don't actually know what's going on there. But so yeah, oh fuck yeah, Josh reports the car is stolen, so then the car shuts down. The police show up because they had previously called the cops to that house so that they could get Iris arrested or whatever, is what I thought, but I think they only called the tech people that own the sex bot company. Anyway, so at this point, Patrick has caught up and he kills the cop brutally because he's also been modded and his aggression is all the way the fuck up. And so, yeah, Patrick kills the cop, gets Iris, and also, like, it's all fucked up. And again, Josh is like tricking Patrick. And then Kat's like, I don't fucking want to do anything. I don't want to be a part of this anymore. I'm just going to take the money and leave. And he's like, Patrick, stop her. And he's like, okay. And stabs her in the fucking back. And I'm like, what the fuck, Patrick? Well, you told me to stop her. And yeah, I guess that'll happen if you fucking leave your aggression on and um, he can now harm people. Damn, that's crazy. You didn't tell him how to stop her. So I'm like, the bodies are piling up. The bodies are piling up. The tech people finally show up after he gets Iris to shoot herself in the head, and he has Patrick dress up in the cop's uniform. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, man. And the tech people were like, oh, yeah, I mean, it's fine. Shit happens. It sucks that she malfunctioned, but we will reboot her and check her hard drive, which is not stored in her brain, and her cameras, which is not stored in her brain, and see, there's any fraud or anything like that. And Josh is freaking the fuck out, of course. And he's like, fuck. Well, Patrick, you gotta stop those guys too. and bring Iris back so we can fully destroy her shit. So fucking. This movie's crazy. Again, this is an hour 30 minutes. I'm like, yes, we need that action to keep fucking going. And so, um, one of the tech peoples dies, the other tech person doesn't. Iris and Patrick have like kind of a standoff, and she's like, no, you need to remember Eli. Josh is not who you love. You love Eli. And that gets through to him because, again, all of it's still there. It's just he got reset. So he had to like sort of conjure it back up. And he's like, I do love Eli. And then he kills himself. I'm like, this is just sad. Fuck you, Josh. This is also very sad. Fucking Eli didn't even know what the fuck was going on. He wasn't even involved in the main plot until later. This all fucking sucks. But anyway, so now it's a standoff between Iris and Josh. And the tech person actually gave her free reign. So she can't be controlled by commands. She has her own will now. And Josh, thinking she's bluffing, is like, no, you can't hurt me. You can't harm me. Somewhere in you, you still love me. And she's like, oh, I do love you, Josh. And she's like, no, I'm lying. So she's able to lie now because there's also, so aside from like not being able to harm people, she's also not able to lie. So there's that too of like, well, now I can lie and now I can tell you that I love you even though I really don't. I can feel things that I've never felt before because I now have free will and you can't stop me. But then they fight and everything like that. She's trying to get a knife, or whatnot, and he's like, "Yeah, see, you can't hurt me." And then she's like, "Go to sleep, Josh," which is a thing that he says to her to turn her off, basically. And she uses this fucking corkscrew opener thing that we were seeing all throughout the fucking um movie, and my intrusive thought was like, what if you just put that against someone? I'm like, see, Final Destination. And she literally was able to grab it and put it on his head, and it literally like just fucking drilled into his skull, and like it's fucked up. But she kills him. She fucking kills him. And I'm like, yes, okay, he's dead. And she takes all the money. She takes all the fucking money. And Josh forced her to essentially burn her arm. So she's like getting dressed. She's like washing off. She takes off her skin and we see the robotic hand underneath. And she's like, I'm just gonna, live my life. I got all this money now. No man to tie me down. All the intelligence. And we see her riding in, I think, a Jaguar. Really nice car, low tech. It's not a smart car from the Russians' garage. And we see her drive next to someone who obviously looks like she's also a sex bot who's getting her ear talked off, but she's got to look happy and smile. And they look at each other, and Iris waves at her with her robotic arm, and the other woman is looking at her like, huh? And then she drives off, and that's like the end of the movie. And I was like, oh my God, this is like a completely good way to sort of segue into Westworld. And we get sort of this like Maeve um arc through Iris of like her. I'm like, they don't need to make another movie. This honestly just made me upset that we didn't get a fourth and final season of Westworld. Or is it fifth season? I gotta look that up too. 4 seasons. It had 4 seasons. It would have had a fifth and final season. Honestly, I liked the first 2 seasons. The third season kind of lost me. The fourth season brought me back. And then I was like, okay, end of that season. We're finally going. We're going back to Westworld. We're gonna fucking end this shit. Let's fucking go. They had it all fucking written, and then fucking HBO Max canceled it. Everybody was paid, and they canceled it. So that pissed me off. Well, no, it was like I like Companion. I like the ending. It reminded me of Westworld, and then that pissed me off because we didn't get a final fucking season, even though it was written. I was like, can somebody leak the scripts or something? I just want to read it. I just want to know. I just want to know. I want to know how it ends. Um, it's like how people keep posting the Wile E. Coyote movie that also got fucking thrown in the trash, even though it's completely fucking filmed and fucking edited and everything like that. But oh no, tax write off. I'm like, fuck you. Like I like Wile E. Coyote. He's always trying to get road runner. I don't know why I said that like that. Oh my god, I didn't mean to say it like that. Um, but I think that's it. This is kind of a long one. I was gonna be silly and try to record 2 episodes in the way that I said I wanted to do in the future, which is I was gonna do one episode just talking about the shows that I watch and one episode talking about the movies that I watch, but then upload it all on the same day. But then I was like, why would I do so this is why it's also only coming out Saturday instead of Friday, because I was like trying to figure out what the fuck. Um so I was gonna do that and I was like, no, that doesn't make sense. We could just either do that or do one very long episode and then from here, like next week it'll just be like maybe an hour long episode. It'll depend. I'm not trying to be too crazy, but um, yeah, find me on Letterbox, V underscore noir with an E. You can also look at the pod archive at NWWITA Again, that's NWWITA pod.com for the archive. You can find me on YouTube, Apple Music, or Apple Pods, or whatever, and Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. And I will see you next week. Bye.